Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight before we watch this video. So you're going to see these screenshots pop up a whole bunch throughout the video. So I just want to explain for those people who might not know exactly what they're looking at, especially because I had to crop some stuff out. So let me explain what exactly we're looking at. This left column all the way down is how many points they're projected to get. This grayer column that's light is how many points they actually scored. And then this column, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, is just shows the snap count. So how many percent of snap they were on the field for. All right, hope this helps. So projections, actual score, and this is snap count percentage. Wanted to be able to get their entire face in for the most part for everybody's pictures that I used in this video. Shout out to Sleeper for this really easy um, display here. Pretty simple to understand. So we got projections, points, and then snap share. Thanks. Bye. All right, what's going on, guys? I wanted to do a 2026 wide receivers, the top wide receivers you should be going for, because playoffs are here, crazy stuff's happening, and we need to realize that how the players have done so far is what's going to win you leagues, not what they do after this point. Once they get you there, that's the important part. Now, are playoffs important? Of course. That's where you win your money, etc., etc. But you can't get there if they're trash all season. So that's why I want to talk about who you should target um, for next year's draft. Whenever you draft, probably sometime in August, unless you have a crazy GM or league manager and they draft in July or something stupid like that. So anyways, let's get it going. I think the top 3 could interchange because they're so talented, right? they're extremely talented. JSN has blown up this year. I mean, he's 300 yards in front of everyone, right? He is in 13 games. He has 1,428 yards. That's amazing. That is insane. He has 9 touchdowns. He has 23 catches of 20 plus yards, and his longest is 63. Like, dude is having a monster season, and I don't think he's going to slow down. I mean, they brought in Rashee Rice mid-season trade, and JSN's still getting the ball. He's still number one. Okay, so JSN is getting the volume. He's getting the yardage. He's getting the touchdowns. He's my number one right now, but I think Puka is a really really close number two. I think for Jason and Puka the most, it depends on who their quarterback is next season, right? Let's say the Rams win the Super Bowl. Okay? Does Matt Stafford retire? If Matt Stafford retires, it really depends on who's Puka's quarterback. Because let's face it, Matt Stafford's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the last 20 years. Like, he's up there with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning for sure. He's amazing. Like, it sucks that Detroit, you know, held him down for so long, but immediately when he got traded to the Rams, they won a Super Bowl. Cooper Cup was a Triple Crown winner a couple years ago. I mean, and Puka's played one less game than everyone else, and he's number 2 in fantasy with 258.9 points. That's literally insane because George Pickens and St. Brown all have 13 games and they're under Puka. Like, that's wild. And Devontae Adams has 13 games under Puka. So Puka's definitely number 2. I would consider him number 1. I really think it depends on the quarterback situation in Seattle and Los Angeles because both of them have older quarterbacks. Sam Darnold keeps moving around. I think Seattle likes Sam Darnold, and obviously the Rams love Matt Stafford. Who doesn't love Matt Stafford? But what happens if Matt Stafford retires? then maybe this list will look a little different. Same thing for JSN. I mean, imagine if Gino was thrown to JSN. Would JSN be the number one fantasy wide receiver right now? So, anyways, all right, on to number three. I think Jamar Chase will be a top three pick because no matter who's throwing him the ball, he will get fantasy points. And I thought the same thing would have happened with Justin Jefferson, but wait till you see what list I got after this because I am tired of being burnt out on Justin Jefferson, but that's neither here and there. Here or there. Jamar Chase is going to produce fantasy points no matter who's at the helm, which is crazy because he's top five with 221.9 points and he was suspended a game. So he has he has five touchdowns. He has 1,000 yards, and he actually has more targets and receptions than JSN. But obviously JSN goes for longer completions. So, all right, Jamar Chase is my three. Now my four, St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown is number four. He has 117 targets under 1K yards, and he has 9 touchdowns. So he ties JSN in touchdowns, and neither one of them have the most. He has 233.5 points, right? That's great. It's amazing. It's better than Jamar Chase. It's better than Devontae Adams, and then nobody else has 200 plus. Okay, so I put St. Brown at four because the Lions' offense is crazy to me because you can have games where Jamison Williams gets double digits, where Jahmyr Gibbs is rushing for 3 touchdowns like he did. I mean, he literally had like 40 or less yards this Thursday and had 3 touchdowns. And St. Brown, who had an ankle injury, had 0 points last week, comes back and drops like 15 point something points. So I think even in a crazy scheme that Detroit has, I think St. Brown's still a top five pick. Um, I will say all of my worst teams are when I pick St. Brown, and I think it's because I paired St. Brown with Brian Thomas Jr. That's just how the drafts went, and I'm in 9 leagues, so I have St. Brown in 3 leagues, and all of my worst teams are with St. Brown. So I think it's really not St. Brown's fault. I think it's because most of those leagues I tried to pair him with Brian Thomas Jr. Or I think one of them I had St. Brown and Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill went out for the season early on. So that's just kind of unfortunate how that worked out, but I still think he's a top four receiver. Now, Devontae Adams at number five with his teammate Puka at number two is crazy, right? But it's not that crazy. Devontae Adams, y'all, has 14 touchdowns. He has 14 touchdowns. He has 211 fantasy points. The next closest right now is 185. Like, Matt Stafford loves Devontae Adams in the red zone. And it's not only that. Devontae Adams has 13 20 plus yard receptions. Jamar Chase only has 8. St. Brown has 13. And, Olave has 7, Michael Pittman 5. So it's not like the volume's not there, but the touchdown volume is there. Like, they love doing whatever, right? They love doing whatever in the red zone. Last game, I think Corum and Kyron had like 3 combined touchdowns. So they don't care. They're gonna get their guys the ball. Devontae Adams is another one where it depends on if Matt Stafford stays another year. I think Matt Stafford can stay another year. I think he rested up in spring training, and he came back strong. I don't know who their backup quarterback is. I don't care who their backup quarterback is. Um, if Matt Stafford's there, I'm going Puka or Devontae Adams. I'm sorry. And people can go. You might call me crazy. Like if I have the fifth pick, I'm really gonna go Devontae Adams. Maybe. I mean, would you really go George Pickens instead? So let's talk about George Pickens, right? George Pickens is actually having an insane year. Okay, he's played all 13 games. He hasn't got suspended, surprisingly. Now, CD has missed 3 games. CD only has 10 games. But when even when CD's come back, George Pickens has been an insane receiver. So are we sticking with the George Pickens hype? Is it gonna stay like this? I think so. I think that I don't know when the last time the Steelers even had a really good quarterback for fantasy purposes. So maybe he was underutilized in Pittsburgh. But I think George Pickens is a top pick. I think I would take George. I think I would maybe take George Pickens over Devonte Adams if Matt Stafford's not there anymore. If Matt Stafford's there, I'm gonna try to get Devonte Adams, but it also depends on what I'm seeing in drafts. So right now I'm in nine leagues. I might not be in nine next year. So it depends on where I see Devonte Adams fall. If Devonte Adams can fall and I can pick him up as my wide receiver too, that'd be great. I think I would pick up. I think based off volume, um, George Pickens has 114 targets, which is actually the least in the top five wide receivers. And but he does have 1,100 yards, and he has 18 receptions of 20 plus yards or more. So the volume's there, deep threat. He has 8 touchdowns, which is one less than St. Brown and JSN, but it's two more than Puka and Chase. So I don't know. I like George Pickens in this offense. I think he takes you wanted him to come in and take the pressure off CD, but now it's more like I think CD takes the pressure off George Pickens. I think everyone's trying to lock down CD that George Pickens is just open. But how many receivers have a one and two I mean, how many teams have a one and two combo like this, right? Like, I mean, LA does obviously, and honestly, so do the Bengals. But the Bengals' problem is Joe Burrow was hurt. So I think George Pickens is a top 6 or 7 pick here. I think I would might take him over Devonte Adams. It just depends. Like, who's to say Devonte Adams doesn't retire at the end of the season, right? You never know. All right, my number 7, Nico Collins. Nico Collins has had sort of a quiet year, but he still has 184 fantasy points in only 12 games. So I think he missed a game for injury. Um, he has 916 yards. He has 14 plus receptions of 20 plus yards or more, and he only has 4 touchdowns. And he's still top 8 in fantasy points for wide receivers in PPR formats. So I think that he's still a top receiver. CJ Stroud doesn't look as bad as he did last year, and I think Jaden Higgins and some of the other wide receivers on Houston are taking the pressure off Nico. I think Nico would benefit from a better quarterback. I can't lie. Um, but I have Nico over Drake London because Nico's more healthy than Drake London, and Drake London also has to struggle with quarterback woes, right? Like Drake London, one, Drake London's injured, and then two, Drake London just lost Michael Penix Jr. So that's why I have Nico above Drake London. But a healthy Drake London and a healthy good quarterback, I would put Drake London. I would take Drake London over Devonte Adams, but Drake London's injury woes like haunt me because I've gotten Drake London the last 2 or 3 years, and his injuries really have me scrambling sometimes. But that's why I have Drake London at 8. And here's why I have Drake London at 8. He's a top 10 receiver in fantasy points and he only has 810 yards. He has 6 touchdowns, but he's only played 9 games. Do you understand? He's only played 9 games and he's still top 10. That is crazy. So with a healthy Drake London and depending on that quarterback situation, I might take him at 5. To be honest, I might take him right here because I mean he is just so good. He really produces. He really produces. I love having Drake London except for when Drake London's hurt. Right? That's kind of like having CD or who else? Justin Jefferson last year. You love them until they get hurt. So I'm high on Drake London. Depending on his quarterback. Some of these depend on their quarterbacks. Like not many people have franchise quarterbacks who are healthy and will stay there, like the Cowboys. The Cowboys, Dak's gonna stay there. Sorry, I was scratching my head, so my mic probably sound different. You know Dak staying there, he's gonna get the ball to his guys, and that's all good. Okay. All right, number nine, not number nine, number nine, Chris Olave. Okay, Chris Olave is top seven right now in fantasy points. He has one in wide receiver fantasy points. He has one more point than Nico Collins. He has 5 touchdowns. He has 811 yards, and he has not had injuries this year. Okay, if he stays healthy, he is a top 10 wide receiver pick. Right, and what I mean by like when you do a top 12 list like this, right? Like if you want a wide receiver, if you need a wide receiver, these are the top 12 wide receivers you should be looking at, in my opinion. Okay, so he's got 185 points, 5 touchdowns. He's played all 13 games. He's the seventh best wide receiver in fantasy right now, and 120 targets is really good. So I think that he's definitely worth a top 10 pick as long as nothing happens in spring training or the rest of the year. Now, rookie uh, McMillan has been Bryce Young's number one. Like, Bryce Young can have terrible games and McMillan's still producing. You know, Bryce can throw 2 or 3 picks and McMillan's still producing. So I'm pretty high on how his sophomore season will go because who else do the Panthers have? Like, who do they have? They have a split backfield who, you know, who cares about the split backfield? Let's talk about their receivers. Who are their receivers? Nobody. McMillan is their receivers. McMillan and Leggett had like 1 or 2 good fantasy games, and we've had 13. So McMillan's top 12 right now. He has 6 touchdowns, 826 yards. He has more yards than Drake London, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Chris Olave, and Devontae Adams. So he's definitely a reliable option, and I think he's a top 10 pick, a top 10 wide receiver pick next year. Okay. So that's my take on Mr. McMillan. I don't know how to say his first name. I should probably learn that. Maybe I'll learn it for next year's video. All right, number 11, Emeka Egbuka. Now, Egbuka frustrates me because he has been terrible lately. But that is not okay. Today, no, I'm sorry, yesterday's game was his fault. He's been dropping passes. All right, so that's definitely on him. But I'm still high on him. He has 6 touchdowns, 800 yards. Uh, he's played in 13 games, so I still think he's worth an early draft pick. I think he'll turn it around. Um, the, the Bucks have faced a lot of injuries to their O line, their receiving core, their running backs, their quarterback. I think that between Egbuka's personal injuries and Baker's injuries, I think that's where a lot of the struggles come from in the last like 5 games fantasy wise. But I still think that next year he's going to be a solid pick, especially if Baker's healthy or if they can get a really good backup quarterback. It just really depends on them, honestly. So that's why I have him as number 11. Now, my number 12 top wide receiver is T Higgins. And let me tell you why. T Higgins is ranked number 15th and he's only played 12 games. All right, he's only played 12 games. So, he's played 12 games, 667 yards, but he has 9 touchdowns. The touchdown volume is there. He takes the pressure off of Jamar Chase, and I think that is really important, and that's why he's up here. Um, and I think he's just been reliable this year. I mean, he's top 15. So let me read you the top 15. Let me read you the top 15 of people that I haven't go over that's in front of T Higgins in total points. Wandale Robinson, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman Jr. Are you really going to take any of them over T Higgins? Now, I would take Jalen Waddle over T Higgins depending on when uh, Tyreek Hill is coming back, but Tyreek Hill had like a really early surgery, and he literally has until September to play. So Tyreek Hill should be healthy and ready to play by the time the next season comes back. So I don't think Jalen Waddle will produce top 11 numbers again. Um, I think Jalen Waddle is a really good late pickup, but he's not someone I would use a top 12 wide receiver pick on. So I think I mean T Higgins is 15th right now. Are you really gonna take Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams, AJ Brown, Michael Pittman, any of these people over T Higgins, like actually, it doesn't make sense to me. T Higgins produces year in year out as long as he's healthy, even if Joe Burrow's not healthy. So I'm taking T Higgins like if I have like a super, I'm taking T Higgins either in the second round or if I have a late pick. I'm pairing him with either my RB1 or my wide receiver one. So that's why I have him as like the 12th best on this list. Okay. I would probably take CeeDee Lamb over T Higgins, but is CeeDee Lamb going to be healthy next year? I mean, CeeDee Lamb's missed he's missed some games over his career due to his health. And I think he got a bad concussion this past Sunday. So I'm kind of worried about CD's production because of his own health. So that's kind of why I don't have him on this list, and I'm gonna personally try to avoid him unless I can pick him up in the second or third round. All right. So these are my top 12, receivers, and it's not gonna, fantasy drafts don't go like this. They don't go, oh, receiver, receiver, receiver for 12 straight picks. You're gonna have receiver, running back mix. Some people like to grab Chase or, I mean not Chase, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. So it's not going to look exactly like this, but these are like the top 12 receivers I'm going to be looking to pick up with my first and second picks. All right. Now let's take a look at people I'm going to avoid next year. Okay. All right. I'm avoiding Michael Pittman Jr. next year. Why? Right now, he is ranked ninth with 699 yards and 5 touchdowns and 182 fantasy points. All right. One reason is he has less than 100 targets. All right. Uh, Less than 100 targets. His quarterback just got hurt. Daniel Jones is out for the season with an Achilles tear. Will he be ready by September? I don't know. Will he be there in September? I don't know. I think I'm avoiding Michael Pittman Jr. Just because I'm avoiding him in like top 3 rounds. Maybe after the third or fourth round, I'll take Michael Pittman Jr. But I don't. I don't. Their backup quarterbacks aren't good. Daniel Jones is out, and plus, Daniel Jones was kind of struggling before he got hurt. He was kind of struggling lately. So was it all a facade? So I'm kind of avoiding Michael Pittman Jr. next year, even though he's a top 10 receiver right now. I think I'm avoiding him next year. He also, I mean, it's hard because he's basically 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. I don't know. So I'm avoiding Michael Pittman Jr. Tyreek Hill, I'm avoiding Tyreek Hill. Tua sucks. The only Dolphins player I would draft next year is A Chain, and that's because he's freaking phenomenal. Tua sucks. Maybe I don't avoid Tyreek if their quarterback situation change. Maybe they move on from Tua, but Tyreek Hill's coming off of some ugly knee stuff, so I'm not really looking to draft him. Maybe I pick him up super late, like really really late, like as my wide receiver 4. But I mean, I think people are always high on Tyreek Hill because of the gamble you take drafting him. But me personally, I'm not going to draft him next year. All right, AJ Brown. What the hell are the Eagles doing? The Eagles, they all suck. Other than Jalen Hurts, they all suck. I'm avoiding AJ Brown and Devontae Smith point blank. Period. AJ Brown luckily is a top 20 fantasy receiver, but if you've had him this year, you're frustrated. I know you are. Maybe the only way I could see you or anyone drafting AJ Brown is if you draft him, leave him in your flex, and never look back. And you hope that he has one of his, 17 plus games, and then the other games he might get you 5. Same thing for Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is top 23, and AJ Brown's top 20. They're both having bad years, even though they're top 20, but I'm avoiding both of them, right? Like the Eagles are not fantasy friendly. Saquon's another case where he'll give you some good games, but then he'll give you bad games or mediocre games. And since like week 8, Saquon's like last 5 game stretch has been rough. So I'm avoiding AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I'm also avoiding Justin Jefferson unless they improve their quarterback situation. He's actually doing worse than Devontae Smith, which is crazy because Justin Jefferson has 109 targets. So is this a Justin Jefferson problem or is this a quarterback problem? I think it's mostly a quarterback problem. I think that JJ McCarthy is doo doo. He is trash. So I'm avoiding Justin Jefferson unless they pick up some insanely crazy quarterback. All right, next, Brian Thomas Jr. What a letdown, man. What a letdown. This guy was picked up in the second, third, fourth, or fifth round, and man, he ruined some of my seasons. Honestly, like, uh, what a headache it was to draft Brian Thomas Jr. this year. His first 5 games were fine, but then after that, you're like, can I start this guy ever again? And he finally had a good game recently, but the drops have been abysmal. The drops have been abysmal, and it's him. It's not the quarterback. They traded for Jacoby Myers, and Jacoby Myers has been going crazy. So it's definitely something going on with Brian Thomas Jr. and his sophomore slump. So, anyways, I think this video went a little longer than expected. Kind of went on some long-winded rants, but I like talking about fantasy. I'm in 9 leagues. I'm doing well in most of those leagues. I'm looking to get some money this year. Hopefully, you can watch this whole video. If not, this graphic and the last graphic will show you who to draft next year and who to avoid next year. So, and I think, maybe I record a video in maybe mid late July. Maybe some trades happen, some retires happen, some new quarterback situations happen, and I update this list or I make a new list. So we'll see. I'm gonna do running backs next, but I'm gonna wait until next week probably because it's gonna be a little bit to edit this. So, anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. I love talking about fantasy, so hopefully y'all come back for the running back version. Thanks. Peace. Just a little ending editor's note here. So I didn't really include CD much on this list, but looking at these numbers, even with George Pickens, I think it's hard to judge where I would draft CD. Like he's got 18, 20, 0, 22, 14, 15, 17, 11, 24, 18. That's honestly incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about him because he just got hurt, and it looked rough. It looked like a rough concussion. CD hasn't been the healthiest. I mean, he was out here, so I don't know. I mean, if you drafted him, 4 games of uselessness, so and then before he went out, he got you 18 points. So just a little editor's note at the end here. I didn't include him in my avoid or in my to draft, just because we don't know. I don't know yet. So maybe in July I'll do a video. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure. It really depends on his health. So, anyways, I just wanted to add that little piece in because when I was comparing him and George Pickens in the screenshot earlier, I was like, oh, CD's actually still having a pretty good year when he plays, right? His worst game is 0. If you don't count that, his worst game's 14. I mean, shoot, I would take this. I would take this over Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr. So, you know, just wanted to add that in there, just because I didn't realize how good his numbers were, which is funny because I literally have him in this league, that I'm showing you this screenshot from. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, peace.